Welcome back to the channel. In this video I'll be discussing the brand new 70mm T800 3-channel dash camera. I'll show you what's in the box, features of the dash camera, how it's installed in my vehicle, how you can power the dash camera, and some sample footage. Thank you to 70mm for supplying me the dash camera and sponsoring this video. So, let's get into it. This video contains several chapters. If there is one of particular interest to you, look at the time index and jump to that chapter, or you can expand the description section of this video and use the link in that section. Let's go through the unboxing of the 70mm 4K T800 Premium Set 3-channel dash camera that I was sent from 70mm. There is a different version of this called the HDR set, which has a 1080p rear camera. That is not the one that I have here. I have the one with the RC41 4K rear camera. Looking at the features on the side of the box, we have the dual Sony Starvis 2 technology in the front and rear cameras. Both are 4K ultra high definition cameras. The cameras are also HDR capable, including the cabin camera. The device is 4G compatible if you purchase separately the UP04 or UP05 hardware kit, which is LTE enabled. And it does support Wi-Fi 6, so if your device is a newer device that supports that, your downloads from the dash camera to your device will be quicker. The front camera contains a built-in GPS receiver. The camera system provides advanced driver assistance features if you like that type of feature in your dash camera. It also includes Smart Parking Guard mode, which includes 3 Sentinel modes of collision detection, motion detection with an AI logic engine looking for suspicious persons, and time-lapse recording. And you can control the camera using a variety of voice commands that I'll list in the video. In the upper left corner is what you see when you first remove the cover of the box. That insert contains the user manual, which you see in the lower left corner. Also, it has the memory card that I was supplied, the 512 gigabyte memory card, which is the maximum capacity supported by the T800. And it also contained replacement adhesive pads, static stickers if you wish to use those to install the front and rear cameras. Removing the top insert that we just looked at, we see that we have access to the front camera, which also contains the interior camera. And we're looking at the protective cover over the screen for the front camera. Just to the right of that is the RC41 4K rear camera, and that upper section contains a bunch of cables and trim tools and such, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment. Here are the various other items that are in the box with the cameras. Starting on the left, there is the cable used with the CC02 power adapter. If you don't need parking mode or Sentinel mode support, as it's called with this product, you could use this to power the dash camera, and it would power it while driving the vehicle only. In the center is the cable that's going to connect the front camera to the rear camera. The cable is labeled front and rear, and the 90-degree USB-C connector that you see on the left side of that cable plugs into the front camera, and the straight connector plugs into the rear camera. It is a fairly thick cable, and I list the dimensions of the connector and the thickness of the cable on the right for your information. And just to the right of that is the interior trim tool to help you route cables through the vehicle. And then just to the right of that is the windshield mounting plate for the front camera. It's a piece that can separate from the front camera, which is good if you need to clean the window glass. That's a nice feature. Here's a closer look at the end of the CC02 power adapter. It has a connection port in the orange for the dash camera and an additional port on the bottom if you wish to power something else in the vehicle at the same time. And then on the right picture, you can see the specifications for the output power and everything for the CC02. You're looking at the back side of the front camera, including the interior camera, and the screen size is 7.62 centimeters or 3 inches on the diagonal, and the interior camera is a 1080p 30 frames per second capable camera, and it has HDR support with a field of view reported by 70mm of 147 degrees. This is a top view of the front camera assembly. The USB-C style power connection port is on the center left side. Just to the right of that is the also USB-C style rear camera cable connection port. And then on the right side there, you can see the interior camera. There is no left-right adjustment with the interior camera, only up and down. You're looking at the side of the front camera assembly that would face the windshield. The mount has been removed in this picture, so you can see the product information and the serial number location. The front camera lens is in the lower center there. It can be moved up and down, not side to side. The front camera can be configured for 4K operations at 30 frames per second and 60 frames per second, but 60 frames per second is limited to when the rear camera for the Premiere set that I have with the 4K rear camera, if you don't connect the rear camera, you can then run at 60 frames per second. If you have the HDR set, which has the 1080p rear camera, you can run the front camera at 60 frames per second, but the interior camera frames per second will be dropped to 20 frames per second. Again, this is the Sony Starvis 2 IMX678 image sensor, which is HDR capable. And the specs for the front camera lens reported by 70mi are 146 degree field of view with an aperture of f1.7. You're now looking at the bottom side of the front camera assembly. Of course, you can see the front camera lens that I was just speaking about in the previous picture. There are ventilation holes. There is a photosensitive sensor on that left corner there, which is used to determine when it's day or night, to know when to activate or turn off the infrared LEDs for the interior camera. You're now looking at the sides of the front camera assembly. You can see the speaker, power button, indicator light, and that will change colors depending on the mode of operation of the camera. The micro SD card slot, which has a storage capacity maximum of 512 gigabytes. On the right side, you can see where the microphone is located. And then that silver portion is the end where the interior camera is, and you can rotate that up and down. You're looking at the RC41 4K rear camera that's supplied in the premium set that I'm reviewing. It is a 4K 30 frames per second capable rear camera. It's also using the Sony Starvis 2 IMX678 image sensor, just like the front camera is. HDR capable. 70mi reports the field of view and aperture are the same as the front, 146 degrees field of view with an aperture of f1.7. On the upper right, you can see some ventilation holes that are built into the case. And on the lower right, you can see the side that has the information about the product, including the serial number, which I blurred out, and also the USB-C connection port for that cable that runs between the front and rear cameras. Here's a picture of the front and back of the 70mi 512 gigabyte memory card that 70mi provided to me as part of this review. But you'll need to make a selection when you purchase the T800, and you need to pick a quality memory card. Using the dash camera manufacturer's own memory card is probably the best choice to make sure that you get something that's fully compatible. But you can purchase third-party memory cards. I will talk about that in the features section of the video. Make sure you pick a high quality one and don't buy one on the already known to not work list, which I'll mention in that section of the video. I'm now going to go over the feature set of the 70mi 4K T800 premium set 3-channel dash camera. This is the first 3-channel dash camera that offers 4K front video and 4K rear video. The premium set includes a 4K front, 4K rear, and a 1080p cabin camera. 70mi's slogan for this product's feature set is triple view, dual 4K, full story. You've been watching some daytime footage from those 3 cameras. Now let's show you some nighttime footage. The front and rear cameras each have a Sony Starvis 2 IMX678 image sensor for the latest technology from Sony for crisp, clear 4K ultra high definition video. All 3 cameras of the T800 support high dynamic range, or HDR, which allows the image sensor to account for bright and dark areas, which is important when trying to capture things such as license plates, signs, or other things that have a contrast or bright area in certain areas like headlights shining on license plates. You will attempt to get that best image quality for that situation. The T800 front camera can be configured to record at 60 frames per second, which of course will disable HDR recording, but you can do that in 2 situations. For the premium set, which is the configuration that I'm reviewing in this video, that includes the 4K rear camera, the RC41. For 60 frames per second to work for the front camera, you have to disconnect the rear camera to make that configuration option available. If you have the HDR set, which has the RC24 version of the rear camera, the 1080p full high definition rear camera, you can still have that rear camera connected and have the option of configuring the front camera to record at 60 frames per second. But again, 60 frames per second means no HDR functionality for the front camera. The 70mAh T800 internally uses a supercapacitor battery instead of a lithium-ion battery. Supercapacitors are far safer in temperature extremes, especially in hotter environments, compared to lithium-ion batteries. So you can rest assured that you're running a product that's using a safer internal battery by using a supercapacitor. If you intend on using the parking surveillance feature, also known as Sentinel mode, with the T800, the LumiVision feature will help you out in situations where you park your vehicle in near total darkness. It will adjust the settings so that it will attempt to record video that is usable compared to other competitors that might record very dark video. While driving your vehicle, if a severe enough impact occurs, the buffered emergency recording feature will kick in and create a buffered recording with 10 seconds at least before the impact event, or up to 3 minutes depending on the length of your normal mode recording files, and then for 30 seconds after the impact event as well. That video will then be stored in a directory called emergency video. That way it will not be overwritten when your files for normal recording are rotated off due to age. This file will be protected in that special directory. The 70mAh T800 also offers 4G compatibility when using one of the 70mAh UP04 or UP05 hardwire kits. In the United States, the UP05 is required for connectivity in this location. With a hardwire kit that has LTE connectivity, you have instant app alerts that are available, app live streaming, you can use a Find My Car and live route tracking, as well as having the ability to track the battery voltage that's being supplied to the hardwire kit. Moving on to Wi-Fi support for the T800, it supports 2.4 GHz connections for older devices, Wi-Fi 5 connections, which is using a 5 GHz connection, and then Wi-Fi 6 connections, which is using 5 GHz and 2.4 GHz communications channels to increase the speed. So if you have a newer device that supports Wi-Fi 6, you could see increased download speeds from the T800 to your phone. The T800 includes a built-in GPS receiver, which allows it to track the location of your vehicle, the speed at which it's traveling, and also get time information from the GPS signal to update the real-time clock in the unit. Moving on to the very important decision of what memory card to use with your T800 dash camera, I would recommend going with a manufacturer memory card, the 70mAh memory card, with a maximum storage capacity of 512 gigabytes. If you choose a third-party card, make sure you review the list in the lower left corner of this graphic, which are a list of cards that are known to have compatibility problems with this product. Moving on to a feature that is typically called parking mode in many other products, but in the 70mAh documentation, it's called parking surveillance or smart parking guardian mode, or on the dash camera in the settings is called Sentinel mode. So for this particular feature to work, the first thing you must have is the T800 must be powered by a hardwire kit, the UP03, the UP04, which is LTE enabled, the UP05, which is LTE enabled for the United States, and there's a brand new UP06, which I have not had a chance to test, but that's another one available as well. So you have to have one of those hardware kits to allow the Sentinel modes to work in the T800. Next, you need to consider a setting in the Sentinel mode configuration about which of the cameras you wish to have video recorded for when a Sentinel mode event takes place. It can be a combination of front plus rear, front plus interior, front plus rear plus interior. So depending on that configuration, when a triggering event occurs, then the T800 will begin recording 30-second videos for the cameras that have been configured to record video in Sentinel mode. The videos are not buffered like they were during normal driving, but they are from the point of the triggering event. There's a small delay depending on how many Sentinel modes are enabled, if you have time-lapse enabled, and then it needs to transition from time-lapse to the type of triggering event, be it collision detection or motion detection. So keep in mind, the more that you tell it to monitor for, the additional slight delay there will be between the triggering event and the start of the video recording for that triggering event. One of the additional benefits of powering the dash camera with the UP04 or UP05 LTE enabled hardware kits is when a Sentinel mode event does take place, it will send a push notification to the 70mAh app on your phone when the event occurs, and then as the video is then uploaded to the 70mAh cloud, another push notification will be sent to your phone saying that the video is available for you to view. Moving on to the individual Sentinel modes available, The first one being collision detection, and as the name implies, it waits for an impact or collision to occur. There is a sensitivity setting for this particular Sentinel mode, and the higher you set that, the slightly higher level of power it will consume in this parking mode, but it is probably worthwhile setting this to a higher value to make sure it catches all the impacts that occur, but you'll have to change it based on your particular parking needs. Moving on to the second of 3 available Sentinel modes for the T800, and that's motion detection. In this Sentinel mode, it will use an AI logic engine to monitor the movements brought in by the front video camera, and if it finds a person that is moving in a suspicious manner in front of the vehicle, it will then trigger a Sentinel mode event and then begin recording for the cameras that are configured to record in Sentinel mode. This Sentinel mode has its own sensitivity setting, which impacts how quickly the AI logic engine determines someone's actions to be suspicious, and the higher that's set to, the level of power draw increases as well. I have found that if someone's approaching directly from the front, they tend to stay within the field of view of the front camera, so you'll see them in the recording. If they're moving from left to right or right to left, even at the highest setting, which is ultra high, I have often found that the person may have moved beyond the field of view of the front camera. So keep that in mind when you're using this feature to look for suspicious people around your vehicle. Moving on to the final Sentinel mode available for the T800, and that's time-lapse recording. In this mode, video will be captured for every camera that's configured to record in Sentinel mode at 1 frame per second. There is no audio captured with this particular recording mode. This way you can capture everything that goes on around your vehicle while the vehicle is parked. You'll need to decide if an individual Sentinel mode that's available for the T800 or a combination of the Sentinel modes make the right combination or choice for your particular parking mode needs. Moving on to one of the nice convenience features for the T800, it has voice control. You can speak various voice commands and it will take an action based on that voice command. From the user manual, you can see it has commands of take photo, record video, record audio, turn off audio, enable hotspot, and disable hotspot. I'm now going to walk through the 70My app on my iPhone quickly to show you the various functions you can perform when the device has already been added to the app. Make sure that the T800 has been powered up and you've enabled the hotspot on the device. Then I'm going to click on the Connect to Dashcam directly, and on the right screen you'll see that it's connecting to that Wi-Fi hotspot. First, it's going to prompt you to join the Wi-Fi hotspot that's been activated on your T800. And then once you've connected, you'll be presented with a live view of the front camera. Right now, I'm going to go into the album, which is going to show me the video files that are available on the microSD card in the camera. As you enter the album feature, you'll get this pop-up warning to let you know that the camera will stop recording. You can click OK to go on and have it stop recording. You can also click on the Don't Remind Me Again to not have this pop up every time you enter the album feature. After that, I get presented with the screen on the right. You have the various categories that are available, the videos on the microSD card. I'm going to click on the emergency video. Since I selected emergency video from the previous screen, I see the front camera videos of that type now. I can look at the cabin cam or rear cam videos of that type as well by clicking on that portion of the screen. The videos allow you to click on them to then begin playing, which is streaming the content from the microSD card over the Wi-Fi connection to your phone. You can play it fully or pause it, and you can download or delete the video content as well. Next, I clicked on the download button on the bottom of the screen, and then it downloaded the video file to my local phone photo library, so it is available as content on my phone after this download. If you click on Timeline, you'll be presented with a screen where you can select various videos and decide where you want to enter and exit a particular set of videos and then download those videos. That will be a feature that I could possibly cover in a separate video in more depth. Navigating back to the top level screen, we can then click on the settings option to go into the various settings for the T800. In the device settings section, we have a video settings group. So we have encoding format, whether it's high compression or low compression. High means H.265 video, low means H.264. Resolution, you can change what each camera is recording at. So the front and rear with the RC41 camera are 4K by default. And then we have recording duration, how long each video file should be, whether the cabin camera should be enabled or not. Image quality settings, we have a picture-in-picture, which is related to the screen on the back of the front camera body. The watermark options, whether they should be recorded in the video. The logo, whether it should be recorded. Anti-flicker is related to the AC power for lighting in your area. You pick the appropriate hertz value to try to minimize flickering lights in the recorded video. Mirroring and rotation, whether you need to rotate or mirror the image to get it recorded correctly based on how it was installed in the vehicle. And enabling live view upon power on, that's usually on by default, so when you go into the app, you will be able to see the live view. Moving over to the right side, we have the parking security group, and inside there are the various options of duration, which is the length of time that the T800 will operate in Sentinel mode. I have it set to unlimited since I'm powering this T800 with a 70 mAh dashcam battery pack. Collision detection, motion detection, and time-lapse are the three Sentinel mode types, and they're all three enabled in this particular T800, and you can see the sensitivity settings are set to ultra high for collision and motion detection. And you can adjust those as necessary for your situation. Recording footage setting defines which cameras will record video when a motion or collision event take place, or just in general if time-lapse is enabled. Those are the cameras that will generate video footage. Since this T800 is currently being powered by the 70 mAh UP05 LTE enabled hardware kit, this additional setting is available in the parking security group. The vehicle battery protection, which allows me to define within the settings of the camera what the minimum voltage the hardware kit should see before it turns off the power to the dash camera. So if you don't have a UP04 or UP05 powering the T800, you will not see this option there. Moving on to the smart travel section of settings, there's the emergency video setting. You get to define the severity of the impact it requires before it will generate an emergency video while you're normally driving and it's doing normal recording. ADAS, which is the Advanced Driver Assistance System. I typically have this turned off. It's something that if you would like to see additional information from me about that with this camera, let me know in the comments. And then we have voice control, which is on by default, and the various commands that I showed earlier in this video are available for you to control the operations of the camera. Moving on to the sound settings, you have speaker volume, on-off tone, button sound, you can toggle those on and off, and then whether the T800 should record the audio it hears through the microphone into the video. Moving on to system settings, first one is system language, so that's the language used for the dash camera. Right now it's set to English. Auto off when parked is typically not used for this dash camera unless you're powering it using the cigarette lighter power port adapter and the power does not turn off to that port when the ignition is turned off in the vehicle. You can set the number of minutes that it will wait with the vehicle being stationary when it will turn off the dash camera. If you're using a hardwire kit, this would be set to never. You have the Wi-Fi hotspot settings, so you go and change and can reconfigure that in that group. The screen standby mode is what the screen on the back of the front camera will show after the timeout period, and I want it to turn off since I can't really see the screen based on where it's positioned on the windshield. You can define the system time, the format that's more appropriate for your location, the speed unit, be it miles per hour or kilometers per hour. Moving over to the right side of the screen, we have the system settings continuing with positioning status, which is related to the GPS signal strength information. The About section will show you the current firmware information about the dash camera and the LTE module if one is connected. Moving on to device data, the main one here is the retrieve device log. I've used that a few times to submit information to 70mi when they need to investigate an issue I'm reporting. So you would go here to have it retrieve that from the camera and make it available to the app so you can submit a request through the app to 70mi to investigate something for you. And moving on to the last section, we have the reset device section. First entry is format. So if you want to format the micro SD card that's in the camera at that point, you would use that feature. And then the last one is restore factory setting. So if you've customized a bunch of things and you just want to put everything back to the factory defaults, you would use that particular entry to perform that function. I've left the settings section back to the device specific homepage, which has the live view of the front camera. I exit back to the main app homepage by clicking on the back arrow. I get prompted about that and I click OK. On the right side of the screen, we can see the device listing. I have a 4K Omni right above the T800, and notice there's an Add 4G entry there. In place of the entries that I have with the T800, since I am powering this with a UP05 hardware kit, which is LTE enabled, I have remote surveillance, vehicle location, alarm center, and battery monitoring. Utilizing the remote surveillance feature, you can access the cameras in your T800 by using an LTE connection that it has through the UP04 or UP05 hardware kit. Once the data connection has been established with the LTE module powering your dash camera, you'll be able to see the live view of the front screen by default. You can click on the switch camera button there to go from the front view to the cabin view and then to the rear camera view. From the dash camera entry at the app homepage, you can click on the vehicle location feature and it will present the screen on the right, and it will show the current location on a map, and it will show you the nearest possible address for that particular location. So if you're trying to locate your vehicle, like you've lost it in a parking lot somewhere, this will be helpful in finding your vehicle. Or if your vehicle is moved without your knowledge, you can then try to locate the vehicle as well. You'll have to trust me that the pin on the map and the address shown on the lower portion right above where it says United States is accurate for my location. Another feature available in that same section of the app homepage entry is the Alarm Center feature. When you click on that, you'll get a timeline for the various events that have taken place. You can click on each one of those to get more information, and if there's a video related to that, you'll be able to play the video as well. And the last entry in that same section on the main homepage for the T800 is battery monitoring. On the right, you'll see the screen that's presented when you click on that feature. You pick the date you want to take a look at, and it will show any voltage information that the UP04 or UP05 hardware kit was able to obtain and log into the 70mi cloud. So if you want to see when your battery voltage dropped off while in parking mode, or even if it's a dashcam battery pack, you can track voltage information while you're driving and while you're parked. Looking at the upper right corner for the device entry, you can see a menu option. If you click on that, you'll see device management. You can get into device settings this way. You can also look at the device name. Device information will show Wi-Fi MAC address, Bluetooth MAC address, and a device ID. The firmware update feature is useful here. It'll show you the firmware that is installed in the dash camera. If you click on that, you'll also see firmware related to the LTE module if you're powering it that way. And then if you're connected with a 4G module, you can also unbind that module to uninstall it from your dash camera to swap it out in case you need to change it. And that's what's useful here. Moving back to the 70mi app homepage, in the upper left corner is a link related to the 70mi cloud account that you have. If you click on that, you have the various entries, and I'm going to click on message at first. And when you drill into message, you'll see smart dash cam, and when you click on that, you'll see the various push notifications that have been sent to you. So those messages are available in the cloud as well by using this feature within the app. One of the other interesting features in the cloud section of the app is the cloud album. If you click on that, you'll go to the screen that's on the right. It will show you of your total quota that you're allotted for videos and photos, how much you're consuming, and it'll show you the number of, as far as capacity in file storage and number of videos and photos. And if there's a particular video or photo you want to see, you can click on that and it will then stream that to you, if it's a video, down to your phone app, and you'll be able to view that right in the app directly from the 70mi cloud. Even if the video is not available on your device any longer and it's still in the cloud, you can view it this way. If you'd like more information on the rules regarding the storage of video and photos in the 70mi cloud, you can click on the link in the upper right there. I show the question mark, and it will bring up the information on the screen. So review that information so you know how long your videos and photos will stay up in the 70mi cloud. This is the 70mi T800 front camera assembly, and it has the front camera, of course, and the interior camera on this end here. When picking a location for the installation, make sure that you account for the front camera as best as possible to be as close to the center as you can, but also account for the visibility and line of sight of the interior camera. You want to make sure that if you're going to be utilizing the feature, it can see into the interior of the vehicle to record it appropriately. You might have a center rearview mirror assembly like I do here, and if you place it up too high, it may be blocked or blocking the interior camera. And also if you place it too close to that, you might get some light flaring from the infrared LED light at night from that, where it will brighten the image in that particular section of the video. So again, pick a best location for one. It doesn't block the driver's line of sight. 2, it's as close to the center as you can for a 50-50 split left to right, and it has an appropriate location for the interior camera to record the interior passenger compartment of your vehicle. Here's the 70mm T800 4K rear camera. I have it installed on the rear window glass of the liftgate for my vehicle. On the right side there you have the USB cable coming into it, and then the lens is in between the defroster grid lines there. So that's the installation of the rear camera. You do have to route it through the vehicle as appropriate for installation of the cable through the vehicle, making sure to avoid all airbags while installing that cable. The T800 front camera lens can be adjusted up and down, not left to right. The left-right is based on where it's placed on the windshield, and any angle present or curvature in the window glass that will affect the left-right placement. So places the whole unit as close as possible to the center of the vehicle, accounting for the visibility for the interior camera as best as possible. And then the up and down adjustment is simply placing it in the appropriate position to get the best 50-50 sky-ground split where the horizon's in the middle of the recorded image. With it then adjusted, you can place an optional CPL filter if you notice a lot of reflections in the recorded footage. There will be light that will come off of instruments in your vehicle at night, or it just could be a general glare or angle of the glass that reflects a lot of light into the front camera lens. So there are 2 white marks on this. I will place them basically at the same position. The inner one is going to be the fixed one that's placed on the front camera lens. And then once that's pressed onto there, you can rotate this assembly as necessary. I typically place a white piece of paper on the dashboard. I am in a dark location for this particular adjustment, and I shine a flashlight on that piece of paper, and then I will rotate this as necessary, looking at the live view on the screen of the camera or in the 70mm app, and you can reduce the reflection of that white piece of paper into the image as much as possible, and wherever that is, you simply leave it in that position. This is an audio test of the 70mm T800 3-channel dash camera. The T800 is currently located just to the right of the center rearview mirror by about 4 inches to allow for the placement of the interior camera to see beyond the center rearview mirror. How does the audio sound? This is an audio test for the 70mm T800 dash camera. In this section, I present my power consumption test results, which is a set of tests I run with every dash camera that I receive to get a good understanding of how long the dash cameras can operate in their various parking mode configurations. Now, I have estimates here based on battery pack capacities for dash cam battery packs, 57.6 watt hours, 76.8 watt hours, and 96 watt hours. I set up the dash camera in each of the Sentinel mode configurations. I monitor the power consumption for 5 to 10 minutes. I put that into a spreadsheet. I calculate the watts value, and that's what's presented here in this chart. That is the value that I can divide into the total capacity for each dash cam battery pack. And that's how I get the days, hours, and minutes projections for each of those battery pack capacities. Unfortunately, that calculation does not take into account the fact that the low voltage cutoff feature in the hardware kit will turn off the power to the dash camera before the full dash cam battery pack capacity has been utilized. Since these are over projecting the time estimates, I would say take about 85 to 90% of these time estimates, and that might be more realistic of what you could achieve with a 70mm 4K T800 dash camera utilizing the UP03 with the values in the top chart, or the UP05 with the values in the lower chart. These are at least estimates you can use to judge how it might work for your particular situation, and you can then compare parking modes and then see which one is the right one for you. I found the 70mm 4K T800 dashcam to work very well overall. The front camera works very well. The interior camera is one of the best I've seen in any dash camera, producing a very detailed, crisp image day and night. The power consumption is something that's an interesting topic to consider, since there are separate and unique parking modes, Sentinel modes, that are available in this camera, and you can combine them together, all three of them, or run them individually. So you might want to plan that out and make sure you have the appropriate power available in your vehicle with a vehicle battery or a dashcam battery pack. I really like the fact that you can LTE enable this dash camera with the UP04 and UP05 hardware kits. Gives the ability to push notifications to the application in your phone, also upload videos to the cloud. So if you really want to get notified when something happens right away, there are options for you with this product. Make sure to check the video description section for any late-breaking information that I wasn't able to include in the video. Also, there may be purchase links or perk prices or additional purchase information you might want to check out as well. So make sure you check that video description section. I hope you found this video to be helpful. If you did, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that bell notification to be notified when I upload new videos just like this. Come back to the channel and check out more videos as I create them for the 70mm 4K T800 dash camera. Thanks for watching.